Welcome to Life Unfolded, the podcast where we dive into the beautiful chaos of growing up, navigating love and relationships, and forging a fulfilling career. I'm your host, Melody Jordan, a 30-something creative professional who's taken life by the horns. In this podcast, I'll share my personal experiences and the hard-earned lessons I've learned along the way to inspire and empower you to live your most authentic life. Whether you're seeking advice, a fresh perspective, or just a good story, join me as we explore the twists and turns of life's unfolding journey. Let's get started. I'm back. This episode contains audio from a recent live stream on my MJ Media Productions YouTube and Facebook page, where I talk a bit about what went on behind the scenes of a live stream broadcast and just lessons learned throughout my 3 years in business. So enjoy. Today, I ran a live stream for the Veterans Day Parade in Albany, which was such a cool opportunity. I'm really thankful for that. Thank you guys for having me. And I just wanted to say that that is a huge event. There were 167 floats. That's wild. That is a lot of planning and prep and coordination. I used to work for the Chamber of Commerce in Sweet Home, and so I have some experience with community events, and I never ran a parade myself, but I've definitely seen just the amount of work that goes into it. And so for something this large, that's just really impressive. So great job. I mean, you have to get permits if you're going on Highway 20, like from the state, and the city permits, and then coordinating with law enforcement and volunteers, and then lining up and keeping everybody moving, and the cleanup. It's a big deal. So great job, everyone, and thanks for having me out. This was the first time that it was live streamed, and we literally just confirmed it yesterday. So it really was kind of like a fly by the seat of our pants, and let's just see how we can make it work. I went and checked out the location, which was generously offered to us from the Natty Dresser. So thank you to you guys too. The upstairs space was really cool. I just love those historic buildings. A lot of them have these upstairs that you don't usually get to see, and they're so neat. We don't make buildings like that anymore. But it was great because we had all these windows, and that was good for the view. I just had to be a little bit careful with, sorry, my nose is itchy. I had to be a little bit careful with the glares or reflections on the window and make sure I wasn't getting my scowl computer face in the reflection or anything. But that part worked pretty good. When I only reached out to Mike yesterday, Green 13 Ariel. Shout out to Mike, he did a great job. I only reached out to him yesterday to come out and do this. And so that was just awesome that he had the time and was willing to come out on such short notice and really not know what he was getting into. And so just thanks for working with me on that. And so with the upstairs area, there was one window that could open, but it doesn't open. And it's one of those things where it's such an old building that it's if we open this, will it fall off? Or will it not close? Will it even open? It was one of those things where it's we don't really want to tamper with a historic building, and that's not really a liability we want to have if a window falls or even hits somebody. So the original plan was, okay, we'll launch the drone through the window and have the controller plugged into my computer. And then we couldn't do that. And so I found this YouTube tutorial. I love YouTube for learning stuff. I found this YouTube tutorial with a workaround where you can use 2 remotes. So thankfully, Mike's a pro. He's got more than one drone, but for one of them, he had 2 controllers. And so you can plug one into the computer and then use the second one to operate it so then he could go outside. And so we were there this morning, 2 hours before the parade, getting that all set up. And so, this is all on the fly coordination and thinking. And honestly, I didn't know how long the parade was going to be. I've been to the parade before, but I hadn't really thought of it from, well, the organization side of it. So yeah, we need more batteries. Those those batteries, man, they drain so fast. But I mean, the footage we did get was really good. I did notice uh, because how do I explain this? So like the one the one controller that was plugged in that we were just using as the view, like the monitor, it was like what you would see if you were flying the drone. And so like the overexposure lines were on there and yeah, I mean, we finally were able to figure that out, but like the whole time while the live stream's going, it's like you have one camera and so in the background you're like making sure the other cameras are ready so you can switch back to the other camera. And then when you switch to that one camera, then you're working on the other one and making sure that it's ready. And I mean, and then checking audio and troubleshooting all that. Hi, Michelle. Yay. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for jumping on. Thanks for saying hi. Michelle, are you in Ohio? Is that where you are? You're far away. Oh, I like Ohio, Michigan. You're far away. But I'm glad you're here, which means it's really late there. So this is commitment. Thank you for being here. Okay, so the overexposure thing or the exposure lines, we were able to fix that, but like with the multitasking, it was like, okay, I'll switch to my A cam, which was my Sony, and so then Mike ran inside while I did that, and we got the settings all fixed. I got that stuff removed, and then he ran back outside, and then I was able to switch to the drone again, and it looked really good, and so that was awesome. And then with the audio, so like the plan was originally if the windows were open, then I could just have the audio coming in the building and have the mic there so I can really like monitor it. But since the window didn't open, then I was like, okay, well now like I'm inside the building and like the drone, we figured out how to make that wireless. Well, now I need to figure out how to have like my wireless mics out there and still have them reach the computer. So we like clipped it on a mic and then realized, well, we're gonna have to be communicating with each other. So we don't want everybody to have to listen to our tech struggles. So we ended up clipping them to a yard sign outside, and that worked great until one of them died. So then we had to quickly replace it. And yeah, it's just like nonstop action and it's super fun, but it's one of those things where like you gotta like think quick on your feet and like have a plan A, plan B, plan C, and then just like on the fly troubleshooting. By the end, I looked down at my audio and I was like, what now? Like, where did it go? And it turns out the sign was gone. Somebody took the sign. So my microphones are gone. And I was like, are you serious? Like, I knew that was a risk. Like, putting them out on a sign where there's a ton of people around. Like, I knew that that was a risk and I was okay with it because, I mean, they're DJI minis, I think. They're great quality, but like, they're definitely a budget mic, which is nice. So it was like, okay, it's not like the end of the world if I clip these ones out there. But yeah, they disappeared. And so then the audio was gone again. And I was like, oh my gosh. So like it was a last ditch effort. We can't hear anything because the windows are closed. So it's like super muffled. So then I had just my MacBook audio. I was like, that's it. Like it was towards the end of the parade anyways. And so we have things where like, location and just some gear upgrades that we plan to implement. And oh, okay. So the really funny part was like afterwards, I guess there was a bystander who'd seen our mics there. They knew it was our mics, and I guess it was the police department coming by to pick up their parking signs. And so like that's our bad. We shouldn't have clipped it to a parking sign, but I guess they came and started picking them up sooner. But it was just kind of funny. I was like, the police stole our microphones. Like they just ran off with them. So yeah, working on getting those back. But I just by that point, it was like, oh my gosh, all I could do was laugh. It was so funny. But I'm thankful for the experience. I guess I just kind of wanted to pivot and say, like, don't be afraid to fail. I mean, you can't be afraid to fail. If you want to run a business or you want to chase a goal, you're gonna mess up. Nobody's perfect, and I mean, nobody ever knows everything anyways, but like, don't be afraid to start because you don't have the experience or you don't have all the gear or you feel like you don't like have enough money to get started or anything. And you know what? If you have mistakes that happen publicly, good for you because you're trying. Like, so many people don't even have the courage or the desire to even do that. So the fact that like you even like show up and plan to take something on and you're willing to, mess up or do awesome, like that's really cool. So I would just say, like, if you're in the creative space or if you're an entrepreneur or you have something that you want to do, like, don't be afraid to fail, even publicly. Everybody messes up, and celebrate the things that went really well. Like, I was really proud of our like quick on the fly thinking and our troubleshooting and like finding workarounds. I love finding a workaround. You guys, like, I don't know why, but like I love finding a workaround, like just finding a way to make it work. And something that like I've kind of struggled with, like, well, I think everybody does, is comparison in whatever industry you're in. Like in mine, there's so many photographers, videographers, website designers, musicians. Like, there's so many out there. It's so easy to compare and be like, oh, well, they have a more expensive setup than me, or like they have a bigger team than me, or, they haven't like more, I don't know, they've been around longer, they're more established. But I just want to say, like, it's not necessarily how expensive your gear is or how much gear or even really like what kind of gear you have. Like, I started with just my laptop and my iPhone. Erin, hi. I'm going to stop and say hi. Yeah, we really did have to think on the fly. It was fun. The adrenaline rush of finding a workaround on the fly. Yes, for sure. Like, okay, I'm going off a little bit, but some people like extreme sports, you know, flying down a mountain strapped to a board. I don't understand that. That's terrifying to me. Like, I would rather not spend 12 weeks in a cast and miss out on that adrenaline, but like live production, like, because like you can plan and like I've done some where it's like a more controlled environment and you pretty much know what to expect, but there's always stuff that comes up and it's figuring it out. But then in something where it's like, okay, you just like jumped in and really have no idea, and it's like outside and there's tons of people and all this movement and yeah, the adrenaline, it's so much fun. I love that. I was just thinking, I was like, why did I agree to do a live stream? Because I was still like on that high, after the production of like, we pulled it off, we did it. And then I was like, I'm going to go live and talk about it. And then a couple hours later, I was like, why did I say I was going to do that? I'm tired now. But anyways, I have my energy back. Thanks for being here, Erin and Michelle. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. I was saying, like, it's not just the amount of gear you have. I started with my iPhone and my laptop. And just like as projects came in, I used that to put back into my business. So it was like my business was paid for itself. I know some people, like, if they can, like, I don't know, take it a line of credit or whatever. Like, I have like a single income household. When I first started my business, I was living in this 20-foot motorhome. I was in a really hard season of my life. I have like an origin story post pinned to the top of my Facebook page and my Instagram. So if you wanted to read more about that, you could. But like, you just start with what you have. And so I'm like really glad to say that I didn't stretch myself to start. And just put your blinders on. There's always going to be somebody with cooler gear. There's always going to be somebody who's more experienced or whatever. But just go at your own pace and just trust that it's going to work out. And then I would say, like, in addition to that, more than just like having the latest, greatest stuff, I mean, are you reliable? Can you troubleshoot under pressure? Can you think fast? Can you find workarounds? Like, are you relentless to make it happen? Because I think that is going to matter way more than, having equipment and not having those traits, because that's really what it takes. I mean, you can get great quality video and photos with a phone anymore. And so there's always a way to make it happen. It's just a matter of if you have that drive and just that, like, yeah, I might mess up, or maybe I won't, or I don't care if people don't get it, or, whatever. You just have to like just be willing to try, because so many other people aren't. And so if you just keep showing up and trying, it's just gonna start working. It's a matter of time. And yes, I'm not really a motivational speaker, but I know that there have been people that I've looked up to, who have relayed similar messages to me, whether it's authors or podcasters or, people on Instagram or Facebook that I follow. And so I guess I wanted to pay it forward and share some things that I've learned and realized. And yeah, I just think the biggest thing for me and my business was just taking it as it comes and slowly start building up. And so I'm hoping to get to do that again soon. But yeah, you can do awesome things and not be perfect. So that's great. I love that. I think that was pretty much all that I wanted to talk about tonight. So thanks for joining me here, friends. And I wrote down notes because I thought I was going to be kind of nervous. It's been like 7 years maybe since I would just come on and do these live chats, like I mentioned with my personal training business. And but something I always recommend is just, if you're going to start doing live videos or like posting videos, just jot some notes down. It's okay. It's okay to look down at your notes to help you stay on track. You're human. And I think that's another like really important part of like trying to connect with the people on your social media, not just like faces on a screen. People get on here to be entertained, not to just be sold to. So, I mean, it's great to see pictures of people's work and like the really polished stuff, or, just quick stories, but then just casual conversations, seeing like the mannerisms and I don't know, the I don't knows, the mess ups, just the human part, I think really helps connect. And that's what sets you apart. So be yourself. Don't be afraid to mess up. And when all else fails, just laugh, because it's hilarious. So hopefully I'll get my microphones back from the police. And yeah, till next time.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Life Unfolded. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe, share this episode, and leave us a review letting us know how much you love it. See you next time.